what? No, I'm not going to let you finish that first. Scotty's got a mouthful of food. I'm Jordan. That's Scotty. And he's eating Thai food while I'm starting this recording. We are the Filmers Podcast, and we watched an interesting film. But before we get into that, Scotty, we had some trivia from last week.
It is one of the most beautiful women I know. Well, I don't know her. And if I did, I'd call her that to her face. Sandra Bullock. She's an amazing human being.
Sandra Bullock. There you go. From the likes of
Gravity.
And
Speed.
The beauty pageant.
Miss Congeniality.
That's it. That's the one.
Okay, we got there.
Yeah, we got there. William Shatner, I think, was in the sequel.
Yeah.
I don't know why I remember that. That's weird. He had a cameo in that, I think.
They were on daytime
the
TV
Shat.
sometimes. Yeah.
The Shat.
Yeah.
Good. Sometimes you gotta watch a good old Shat. That's what you gotta do. But we are here in the studio. It's been an interesting week.
It has.
It's been an interesting week. The weather has been all over the place for us here
in Australia. Yeah, it's been really hot. It's been really wet. It's been really hot again. It's been humid. It's been dry.
It's been gross.
Yeah.
It's been nice.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been a roller coaster of emotions.
It didn't affect
here.
me very well, I'm afraid. As you
yeah. We were supposed to record yesterday, and you just couldn't. You couldn't make it. You're just too sick.
I couldn't get out of bed.
Sucks. Horrible. Having flashbacks to college.
Yeah.
Like, Scotty, when are you coming out to do stuff? And you're like, no, I'm not. I'm staying in bed.
I'll stay in my cocoon. I'll become a butterfly later.
Oh man, I remember that cocoon too. That was a nasty cocoon. Wow. So last episode was our Yeaton Swag
Yes.
episode.
Please tell us what you thought of it.
Yeah,
we want feedback.
We really want feedback. I mean, hopefully we've got feedback by now, because this is like, we're recording for future, so we're a couple of weeks behind at the moment. But like, we'd love to hear your feedback. We'd love to hear if you found it at least tolerable, because I've got 3 more episodes written, and we are hoping to release one every month from pretty much here on out until we finish the series.
We have ideas for an entire series.
Yes, we've got an ending, and we're getting to that ending. So yeah, it's really exciting. It's really fun. And if you have, I'm gonna put it out there. If anyone wants to help us or collaborate with us or lend their expertise in sound recording or music or anything like that, if you guys want to actually contribute to this, please get in touch.
Yeah.
Please send us an email or send us a Facebook message or anything like that. We would love to kind of hear what you have to say. And if you've got a background in any of this kind of stuff.
Or animation.
Yeah. Scotty's got a pipe dream where we animate this whole thing, which I think is fantastic. Yeah. I would love to see that happen. So if you have any expertise in that, we would love to get in touch with you.
Yep. And if you just want to send your love as well, that's fine.
Yeah. If you want to send us to be like, send a message saying you friggin' love what we're doing, or even if you friggin' hate what we're doing.
But also if you do like what we're doing and putting out, or if you like parts of it, if you just enjoyed parts of it, please go and share it with someone. That would make us so happy. That would be the
best thing ever. If you are like sitting around you with your friends eating KFC or something, and you're like, hey guys, I've just heard of this really cool podcast. Get on it. Like, even if like maybe you got 5 friends and 2 of those friends decide to listen, that's a win. Like, that's awesome. Even if like half of your friend decides to listen, like if you've got half an earbud,
we are so grateful.
That would be incredible. But yeah, so today we are doing Joker.
The Joker. Todd Phillips'
new DC Universe standalone film starring Joaquin Phoenix.
That was a mouthful, but well done.
Thank you. Let's take a break and then get into
spoilers. We start with spoilers straight away.
Yes. Yeah. We do start. Also, if this episode of the podcast triggers any sort of negative emotions, like if you suffer from depression or anxiety, please don't feel bad for stopping it. And definitely don't feel bad for seeking help. Like that is something that this society doesn't, I don't think, promote enough. And we need to kind of look after ourselves, and we need to look after each other. So if you are not feeling great, don't feel bad about stopping this. So yeah, awesome. And
insert Mark Hamill laugh here.
Oh, don't do that. That's creepy. But yeah, let's get into it. How's your voice, Scotty?
My voice is here. I'll muscle through.
Okay. Fair enough. Hey guys, how's it going? As you already know, we watched The Joker.
Yes. In fact, you watched it twice.
I did watch it twice. I did.
You got twice as much.
Did you bring food into the studio?
Yes, I did. I have a sore throat, as you might be able to tell.
Yeah. We did some recording earlier today.
Yes.
For the Yeet and Sweg.
And I'm still recovering from being a bit sick, so
yeah, maybe you were quite sick actually. So you've got, what is that?
I have Thai.
I can't believe he's eating
satay
Thai.
Chicken.
I can't believe you're doing this right now.
Really good.
Ugh. I don't know about anybody else who's listening to this, but I get a little bit sick when I hear somebody eat. Oh. It's a bit gross for me.
You know those Korean streams where they have people eating food? Well, this is like but it's a thing.
What is?
There's streams where people eat food.
Streams?
Yeah, like watching
as
stuff
in
on
okay. I thought you meant they're sitting at a riverbank eating food and everyone's just watching them do that, which is weird. I mean, it's weird either way, let's be honest. Yes. Continue.
Yeah, it's just like we're doing that, but for the ears, not the eyes.
Huh. There you go.
It's really good.
Cool. So, Joker.
Yes,
Joker.
Let's begin with the elephant in the room.
Which one?
Exactly, there's quite a few.
Do you mean this one?
He's got a Joker toy. That's really cool.
I do. I've got a little plush Joker.
That would make any kid go to sleep very soundly.
Oh man, that's why I keep it in my drawer. I don't look at it.
Just like how he puts his mum to sleep very soundly.
Oh, spoilers, Scotty! Come on. Come on.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna get into spoilers. Let's get it out. It's hard to talk. Yeah. We can't talk about this movie and not spoil it. But first of all, the elephant in the room that I want to talk about is the one that's surrounding the movie, which is referring to people telling people not to go see it because of in reference to The Dark Knight when there were people who got shot in the cinemas.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's also
classic marketing, though. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing is, they're saying that they don't want people to go see it because of this historic event where someone went into a theater and killed quite a number of people.
Yeah.
During a showing of The Dark Knight. And recently, Trump has been in the news by blaming video games for violence.
Oh, there's been a bunch. It's been a bunch. I mean, it's a constant guns and.
But we, as a culture, we're getting to a point where we're shunning responsibility more and more for this, even though it is our fault.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not video games' fault. It's not. And in some instances, I don't believe it's even the individual's fault per se.
It's not necessarily only the individual's fault.
Yeah. Let's put it that way. That's a lot more.
In fact,
that's a lot
I had
better.
to think of this beforehand because it's like.
Yeah.
In fact, in watching this movie, it can be quite easy to say, "Oh, it's not Arthur Fleck's fault that he became the Joker," which is not true in the slightest.
No. In fact, they have a scene referencing that line of thought near the end when Robert De Niro, by the way, Robert De Niro is in this film.
Oh yeah, because it's not at all a reference to early Scorsese movies at all.
No, not at all. But he's in this film as a daytime or a television show evening host.
Yeah,
who's like a comedian. It's like the Daily Show or like the.
Yeah, he's the Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
Of this universe.
Yeah.
And Arthur Fleck, the Joker, getting onto the show is sort of the storyline in a way of the movie.
Well, it's the penultimate.
Yeah.
I honestly think that this film, because I've seen it twice, and the first time I saw it, I was kind of a bit worried after leaving the cinema because there is a lot in here that one could use as, I guess, ammunition to fire at people who would be like, "Oh, it's a good film," but. It's after seeing it a second time, I do have some gripes with it, but I believe is a film that is worth watching.
Yeah,
that is worth taking on board, because it doesn't necessarily point the finger at any one person, it actually points the finger at everyone.
Yeah. Society is to blame. Okay, so the issue we're talking about here is with anyone who becomes a villain.
Yes.
And villainous behavior.
Yeah.
The individual is responsible because they are the individual, and we don't want to push the finger at them, but society helps create or push people into these paths.
If you think that people are formed independently as their own person without any sort of outside influences, well, first of all, I'd call you an idiot.
I think they can happen. First of all, people, that can happen, but that's not.
That's exactly what I'm saying. You can't.
I think there's what, but I'm saying it's very minor in terms of.
Well, I mean, take a look at a couple of years ago, some child was found in the woods who had been like growing up literally with wolves. It's a real life Mowgli story. This child couldn't speak at all. It couldn't speak.
Of course.
So because it's been raised by that there is. I mean, it's extrapolated, but there's a evidence to suggest that we cannot function without some sort of society around us to help shape us and form us.
Well, language itself, which he can't speak, is sort of one of the building blocks of being a person in society.
Yes, yes. And so with that in mind, we start Joker from the perspective of Arthur Fleck, who goes to therapy, who talks to a therapist, and he has a mental disability where he can't help. It's like a physical reaction. He can't help but laugh.
Yeah.
Even though he doesn't want to, even though he hates doing it, he can't laugh. He has to laugh, sorry. And
it's not triggered by any one thing. It's an irrational trigger. So.
Yes. Yeah. It's a mental illness. It's part of his mental disability, which also he suffers from like schizophrenia and depression, anxiety.
And he has to take a bunch of different drugs for it.
Yep, 7 different drugs, which I found. I'm not sure. I believe, that was one of the things that didn't immerse me in the film. If that makes sense,
it took you out of the movie. The film was that many drugs.
Yeah. I think they went a little bit overboard with that. Like, I understand that people would be on several different drugs, but I'm not sure
7 is a lot.
Many, that's the sort of, especially with the healthcare system that I have in the States, I'm not sure if he would be able to, afford.
Healthcare system in the States?
I don't think he'd be able to afford that. You know what I mean? But they do have some relevant points and issues of contention when they talk about how society kind of doesn't give a shit about people like him.
Well, it's actually a very contemporary issue in terms of, because the film is commenting directly on mental health institutions getting tax cuts, and payment cuts at the moment. Yeah, and I mean it's happened before.
It always happens. And how these things, but it even comments on how these structures that are put in place to help the people who are suffering from these things isn't good enough to begin with, let alone the cuts to the funding.
There's a big difference between being in a hospital and to receive hospitality.
Yes. Yeah.
As someone who lives near a hospital, I know that there are many on the spectrum.
Yes.
Of helpfulness.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the person who changes your blankets is the most human person to you in a hospital. So.
Yeah.
Shout out to you,
hospital people
who are kind to the patients. Yeah.
And in this, we literally see anything bad that can happen to cause his fracture or to cause him to spiral out of control happens.
Yep.
One after the other, after the other, after the other, and we see him developing psychoses, and we see him
delusions. There are a lot
developing delusions.
Well, we don't. In fact, we see delusions to the point we don't actually know in some cases what's real and what isn't.
Well, I mean, by the end, we kind of do to a certain extent.
Yeah, exactly.
But that is also one of the things that annoyed me a teeny little bit.
Okay.
Was there's a reveal. I'm not going to say what the reveal is, but Scotty knows what I'm talking about. There's a reveal in the film that I feel comes a little too early in the grand scheme of the building blocks of this movie.
Okay.
I feel they could have waited on it a little bit more.
Dragged it out a bit more.
Well, not dragged it out, but pace it a little better.
Paced it differently so it came at a different point.
Yeah, because I feel like there was more room to kind of add to that psychosis, add to that delusion, if you will.
Yeah.
And I would have liked to see them explore that just a teeny little bit more, because I think it is one of those. It is an event that not only lets us know that he's delusional, but also adds to his psychotic break at the end.
Yeah.
Whereas in the way that it's presented in the film, and I think this was mindfully done because they didn't want it to be about how people like him can be obsessive with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is smart.
It is.
But at the same time, I mean,
it's
feel
still there,
like,
but
I feel like it could have been paced a little better to come out a little bit later.
I think what they wanted to do is in the, you call it the penultimate scene, the scene where he's in the studio.
Yes. Yeah.
To me, that's the climax. What happens afterwards is just follow through, but that's the climax.
Yeah, exactly. That's the climax.
I actually thought they wanted him to seem not less crazy, but more rationally crazy in that.
Yeah, I understand that. But I would have also liked to kind of see both the mental side of his processes and also what's really happening, like almost at the same time. You know what I mean? Like we could have kept that like, because he tells people like, oh, I'm doing comedy, you should come and see my comedy thing, and that adds to the psychosis of he believes he's funny when he's actually not, and believes that people like him when they actually don't.
Oh, one of my favorite scenes actually is when he's in the comedy club sitting down and he's laughing at everything that everyone else isn't.
Yeah,
he just doesn't get the jokes. Actually, I think that's a brilliant scene.
He does.
Yeah.
He's actually, because what I noticed is there's two different laughs in this film.
There's more than two.
One is a real laugh, his real laugh, and then the other is a fake laugh that he puts on. And whenever he puts on a fake laugh, it's him guessing what point is a good point to laugh at.
Yeah.
And so when he's in the comedy club doing that, he's not laughing at the wrong point because it's funny. He's laughing because he's trying to suss out where everyone else laughs.
Yeah.
Like, what actually makes these people laugh and why are they laughing? Because he doesn't get it.
No,
he does not understand it at all.
He's not funny.
He's not. He is not. But one of the things that needs to be pointed out here is a lot of negative reviewers are saying that, oh, he goes crazy because of several different reasons. Number one, he doesn't get the girl, because so he goes crazy. Number two, he isn't funny and he wants to be, so he goes crazy. And number three, he isn't loved and he wants to be and he goes crazy. No.
He's crazy from the beginning.
He's insane from the beginning. This shows how there's two sides to him. One is the one that wants to be a good person.
Yeah.
And it is slowly defeated by the insane one who does not care.
Well, I would actually say at the start, he's not a good person, but he wants to be a good person.
Well, that's it. Yeah. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, he's got two sides of him. One wants to be a good person and one just doesn't want to care. And that apathy one wins out in the end because of the apathy of other people. Yeah. That's what makes him become who he is by the end of the film. It's not that he lost everything. It's not that he didn't get the girl. It's not that the girl hates him or anything like that. It's not, I'm pretty sure it's not even she doesn't even really come into it.
I think there's actually, near the end of the movie, it's actually put on the screen very visually for us, because he practices something he wants to do. And then when he comes to doing it, he does something else.
Yeah.
And I think that is...
Chaos.
Yes.
Chaos.
That is the clearest example of him becoming something else.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. He throws everything to the wind and he no longer cares. And because he no longer cares, he doesn't go through with that decision.
Yes.
He just allows things to unfold. And I believe that this character, even though the performances are very different, this character and Heath Ledger's version of the Joker back in, was it 2008? 2007, 2008, around then, with The Dark Knight, they are the same character, except two completely different performances. Yeah. Which is fantastic. Like, this film sticks with the true nature of who the Joker is.
Yeah. And that is the most worrying thing in terms of when you see a villain, especially brought to the big screen front and center, is like, are we going to get something that demeans the character? Yeah. And that's sort of the biggest worry in going into seeing this movie for me. And instead, what I got is, okay, we got something unique, but still similar and still holds true to the core of what it is.
Yeah.
The fact that we have a delusional character means that you can still put a spin on anything you want to do with him in terms of how you change it. But at the same time, for this movie, it's a complete movie.
And this is one of the first times where I've gone to see a film, read reviews for it, then gone to see it, and then gone to see it again, and then come out and say, wow, a lot of these critics could not be more wrong.
Well, I've read a lot of reviews. The Guardian one especially was terrible.
Oh yeah, the 2-star Guardian review.
Oh, it's hilariously bad.
Australians have no class.
But he's not the only one who said that.
He is.
But critics don't know what to make of this movie, and they're all over the board. Like, some critics are loving it, some are hating it.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's to do with...
It's very polarizing at the moment.
But the thing is, the movie has a clear plot and a clear structure and a clear message. But there's so many details, and it's often in those details and how you come out of the cinema. This film is designed to make you uncomfortable as well.
Yes, it's not designed to make you feel good. It's not designed to comfort you. It's actually, I feel like it's designed to challenge you quite a lot. Because it does, again, it points the finger at society. It points the finger at the therapist who doesn't care about Arthur enough to actually help him. It's pointing the finger at the rich and the wealthy who have the money to do something but refuse to. It's pointing the finger at the people with good intentions who still would rather ignore you than help you out. Mm-hmm. And I believe all of us can kind of fit into one of those categories. Even if you're not rich, you've got something that you can contribute to somebody else's life, yet you withhold and you keep it to yourself. And that's one of the hardest things is... You know, and I struggle with it all the time. Like when I'm down in Sydney going for an audition or something, there are so many homeless people on the street, people without money. And I used to give money to people on the street.
I did as well.
But I don't do that anymore because the knowledge of what I know, the potential of what they would do with that money to themselves.
Well, I know that there are other ways to provide for these people, and I try to do those things as opposed to...
But even then, like, you look at these people and you want to help them, but a lot of the time you just have to push it out of your mind and keep moving forward.
And there's a fear as well. It's like, quite often I find myself walking past someone and I'm like, I don't want to do this. I have somewhere to go. I have this. Whereas at the same time, it's like, if I just go up to someone like this and have a normal human conversation with them, would that be beneficial for them? But the thing is, you don't know. So there's this...
It's the fear of the unknown.
It's the fear of the unknown. But in the most upfront fashion. It's like, it's not a shadow hiding under the bed.
No.
It's literally someone you're walking past. I mean, and it's also, it's so blasé. I mean, you can walk past anyone and you can't tell by what they look like or their
the way they walk, the way they hold themselves. Yeah, you can't. Like, and so many people take offense to that.
Yeah.
Even if they do need financial help, they can still react quite angrily to being offered it because, especially in the Western world, we don't like to see charity. We don't like to accept charity because it means that, or it says that we're weak.
Yeah, it's a prideful thing.
Yeah, we're very, very, very prideful in how we can look after ourselves. And so even if we can't look after ourselves, we like to put on the appearance of being able to do so.
I was talking to a libertarian, and you know which libertarian.
Ah, yeah, okay. Hi, libertarian.
Hi, libertarian. We love you, but we don't agree with you
at all.
But you see,
it's like communism. It's great on paper, but it doesn't work in real life.
Yeah, libertarianism, just for those, is they don't want the government to have any power, and they want everyone else to do it.
No, they are a form of government that doesn't want the government to have any power.
Yeah. Anyway, but the one thing he will agree with is that mental institutions need to be funded.
Yeah.
Because if they don't, well, this is exactly why they're not.
Yeah. Why they should be.
Why they should be. The Joker is a movie pointing at the finger straight at, this is why you need healthcare systems.
Yeah. And I am, as an Australian, as someone outside of the States, someone outside of, that spectrum, I see that and I go, wow, because a lot of the people who have a problem with this film are American critics.
Yeah.
A lot of them are American critics, which is interesting because a lot of these critics are left-leaning at least, and they want that healthcare system. And this is a film that literally shows the dangers of not having a healthcare system.
It's scary.
It's crazy how they don't see it that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's scary on so many different levels. It's scary that they don't see it. The fact that they don't see it is scary.
It's wrapped up in the it's the pink elephant. It's like, don't think of the pink elephant. Yeah. Before this film was released, guess what happened?
People thought of the pink elephant.
And by that I mean the reports of
people complaining
2 weeks before the release of this film here in Australia, which is a day before the release everywhere else.
Anyone other than, is it South by Southwest where it came?
Yes, South by Southwest, Toronto Film Festival. Yeah. And the reviews from those festivals were stellar, and then it hit the public, like the critic system, and it went to shit. And the reason why, I believe, is because of reports that came out 2 weeks before the release of this film. So about a week before a lot of critics actually saw it outside of those film festivals. That report was saying you need to be careful because this Joker film has the potential to incite violence in people viewing it. And while I do agree that there is some merit in that,
I feel like
we are literally, not figuratively, and it sounds really bad that I'm saying this because
get going.
Yeah, but we're jumping the gun. Like we are literally preempting something that hasn't happened yet, which is insanely sad, insanely depressing.
I just want to clarify this. They're complaining that this film will incite gun violence and incite people with special issues to pick up and start killing people. This film shows exactly why we need to help people in those situations. Yeah. This film is...
It's literally a cautionary tale.
Yes. This is a dark fairy tale about what happens when you don't feed the baby.
Yeah. And when you don't look after your own. And it's so obviously put in this film. Like I went to see it with friends from work. And they caught up on that immediately. And I'm thinking maybe it's just an American thing to completely ignore it. Like
they hadn't seen the movie yet. They were complaining without seeing the movie.
It's insane. It's insane. And then you got people on the other end of the spectrum who were complaining that, they mess with the origin story of the Joker and all that other crap, which is just stupid.
Well, that stuff I'm like, I don't care.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's not relevant.
In fact, in some respects, I think there are other people that go, yes, they've completely fucked up the DCEU. So now they have to do something completely new.
Well, do you want to hazard a guess at how big the budget for this was?
Well, there's a lot of period pieces. It might not be that big. I could see it being relatively like 200 million? 200 million?
No.
100 million?
Keep going.
50 million?
Yeah.
50 million?
55.
Wow.
55.
And I want to say Todd Phillips is a genius because he has taken a massive issue and hidden it in a comic book story.
Yeah. I think years from now, a lot of the critics that do not like this film are going to come back to this movie. They're going to watch it again, and they're going to go, wow, I was completely wrong about this.
Well, I mean, it's happened before, Fight Club and a few other movies.
Well, Taxi Driver was another one that everyone hated when it came out. Everyone hated when it came out because not only the reputation of what it was, also it came out and inspired a slew of violent attacks in New York City. Yeah. And that was something that a lot of critics could not get over, and understandably so. But in retrospect, that film is on the AFI list. Like, it's one of the best American-made films of all time. And I think this, while I don't think this film is quite up to that standard.
And I actually think it's trying to tell a very different story.
I think, in terms of filmmaking ability, I feel like there are some hiccups and missteps along the way. But this film is a lot better than most critics are giving it credit for.
Yeah.
And I think it is telling an important story.
And I think we are so wrapped up in its
we're so wrapped up in social relevancy within that echo chamber as well.
So it's actually hard to judge this movie in terms of its film quality. There are certain things you can go, wow, that was fantastic, and there was a few tiny pacing issues, and you're like, okay, the film changed from one film to another film here, but at the same time, it's like the plot still continued and it was linear.
Yeah.
I will say this, there are a couple of critics who disliked it because it was predictable. I would agree that it's predictable, but that doesn't necessarily take anything away from the movie.
No, I don't think it does, especially because you have a character who is coming from a very ordered, very mundane, very predictable life, and transitioning from that to being chaotic, we're not going to see the fullest extent of how he can be chaotic, because that's not what the film is about. No. It's not about being unpredictable. It's about how he becomes unpredictable. And you have to go through predictability before you go there. Like, it's inevitable. You can't just immediately jump to being unpredictable.
And I actually like the fact that they do espouse on the Joker himself doesn't know what the Joker's going to do. I kind of like that's a part of the movie, and it's actually something that can, like, I think as part of the Joker's character in anything, that is part of who he is.
Well, I was reminded a lot of the Batman series of video games, the version of Joker, which is voiced by Mark Hamill.
Yep.
In those video games, and almost every single successful iteration of the Joker, not including Suicide Squad, because that's just not a good version of the Joker at all.
I don't even consider it a version of the Joker because it's just a bad movie.
It's just bad. It's a shit. But every iteration of the Joker that has been successful has shared that one trait.
Yeah.
Is that anarchy and chaos is his goal, and he doesn't care. Even in that, like, he doesn't care. But there's still moments of, like, he actually does. I think one of the things that separates Heath Ledger's Joker from a lot of the other ones is a lot of the other Jokers still get to a point where they become emotionally invested by what Batman does or says, or to a point where they get upset and they do start to care. Whereas Heath Ledger's Joker, throughout from beginning to end, even when he fails, he doesn't care because he wins either way.
Yeah. Heath Ledger's Joker has a plan, and he might claim he doesn't have a plan, but he has a plan and he rolls with it. And he's a force of nature in the movie where he's constant from beginning to end.
Yeah, and he's not really a person. He is a force of nature. Yeah. He's a storm that you have to weather to get through, and it does not cease and it does not stop. And in Joker, we see Arthur becoming that force.
The thing is, even though I wasn't reminded that much of Dark Knight, I was actually more reminded of Batman Begins, which is a strange thing to say in the fact that in it you see Christian Bale's Batman. He's constantly having terrible things happen to him, and he makes the right choices. And he's got people around him who are positively affecting him.
He has a society around him who is bringing him up instead of pushing him down.
Yeah, he has Rachel. He has his butler. Why can't I remember it? Pennyworth. Yeah, he's got Pennyworth.
Alfred.
Yeah.
Alfred.
Pennyworth now on CB. Anyway,
don't watch that show.
I haven't seen any of it.
Nobody wants that. Nobody wants. Like, if we want to see that, we watch James Bond. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. If you're gonna do something like that, at least differentiate yourself from James Bond a little bit more. But they've just parodied it, really.
Yeah.
Parodied it without trying to make it comedy.
Oh, well, I haven't seen it, so.
Yeah. Not good.
What was my thought again?
Your thought was that this is a companion piece to Batman Begins.
It is, in many respects.
It's a mirror image, which is exactly what the Joker is to Batman.
Yeah. And in fact, this movie plays with that idea.
Yeah.
And there's one fantastic scene where also Bruce Wayne in this movie, I've got to say, the choices they made for him, he says nothing.
Yeah.
He has no emotion.
He is completely voiceless. He is a robot. He is, exactly.
He's emotionally stunted with that. And I think that is the best way to represent Batman in a non-Batman film, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the interesting things is, again, Bruce Wayne as a kid in this is displayed almost as if like he's a statue. And there's a scene where Arthur forces his face into a smile. And he just stands there and lets it happen.
It's almost as if
I think this has actually captured the character of Bruce Wayne just as well as it has Joker, which is interesting to say. Like, even though he's only got maybe a minute and a half's worth of screen time total, and he doesn't say anything.
It's perfect direction.
Yeah, it's great direction.
I think it's also a suggestion that maybe Bruce Wayne, even before his parents were murdered, had mental issues as well.
Yeah,
which I think is an incredible thought.
Well, I'm pretty sure in Christopher Nolan's, it's either Batman Begins or Dark Knight. I can't remember which, but James Gordon says something about how, we've got all these people, these mental people running around with masks on kind of thing, also referencing Batman. And yeah, it's, I mean, Batman has daddy issues. He's also, probably got a lot of other issues besides that. But I love how they've connected this Joker film, and I wasn't expecting it to be connected. I thought it was going to be like purely just disconnected from Batman, disconnected from all of that, and just be like, okay, this is what we're doing, and we're not even breaching that subject whatsoever. But I was actually pleasantly surprised at how they connected it to the Batman universe. Yeah. Like it was a nice touch, and it's also still a believable touch. Like,
it is. They didn't go, okay, Joker actually shot his parents. No, the influence of what happened influenced the murder of his parents. That's enough of a touch. It's not too much. It's just enough, and it's a perfect amount.
And there's still room for the mob to be involved in the death of Bruce's parents as well.
Yeah.
Like they could have just used this as an opportunity to take his parents out while posing as, part of this anarchist group, which is great. I mean, it doesn't break what Christopher Nolan did with the Dark Knight series. In my opinion, it reinforces it actually with all of its characters, which is it's just a lot of good, fantastic choices.
Some interesting choices about the Waynes as well. The way his father is portrayed in the movie, is very
he's a dick.
He's a dick, but is he? Or is it just the part of him we're seeing through? Because there's
through the lens of Arthur. Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting thought as well, because like, how do we react when a crazy person who we don't know starts accosting us or like verbally abusing us? Like, do we get defensive? I think we do. Like a lot of the time we do naturally become defensive. And
also this guy just freaked out his son. It's like,
protect your kid. Like,
and also the interview he has on TV, a clown kills 3 people. Calling him a clown might not necessarily be the right thing to say, but it's also an understandable thing for someone to say.
Yeah.
It's like everything he does comes off as brash and rude, but at the same time, it's like also believable.
Yeah.
It's the same with Thingy's character, the talk show host,
Robert De Niro's character.
Yeah,
because he plays it, and there's an interesting comment where Arthur blames Robert De Niro for, you made fun of me and all this other stuff, and he's like, kid, I was helping you. Like, look at what you're on TV now. Like, you've got like all of this stuff that you wouldn't have had otherwise without, me promoting you, and you're blaming me for something. And there's a great little monologue that Robert De Niro has where he actually talks about how, it kind of sounds like you're blaming other people for your actions. And that really hits the nail on the head as well, because it not only asks that question, but it also doesn't give us answers. Like, it doesn't say, oh, it's society's fault. No, it's everyone's fault. It's Arthur's fault. It's society's fault. It's the government's fault. It's the situation's fault. It's everyone's. It's collectively all of our responsibilities to look after each other, and we've neglected that.
Apathy is something very dangerous.
Yeah.
And I think this film likes to put it front and center, but at the same time draw it back, and then have the characters come to the front, and then apathy just hangs in the background.
Yeah.
There are parts where it's like apathy is clearly the issue, but at other times it's like, okay, the evil Arthur Fleck is making decisions to choose wrong.
Yeah.
They go hand in hand, and if you think it's one or the other, then you're not really watching the movie.
Yeah. Or you're coming into this film with a preconceived idea of what you believe is fact and fiction before you even go in and see the film.
That is one interesting thing in this movie. It's going to rattle the cage. It's going to like, here, if you have preconceived ideas about one way or the other about what this film is telling you. In fact, I think some people will come away and enjoying the movie, but they won't have been challenged simply because they will choose to ignore certain parts of this movie.
And I'm kind of worried about those people, because that does display the kind of dangerous apathy that this film is actually trying to hit the nail on the head with.
Or it's the other way around. It's like they say, okay, it's all a society's fault. It's not the individual at all.
Yeah, and which is also terrible as well. You got to be careful with films like this. Like, I would not recommend somebody who is currently in the midst of suffering from anxiety or depression to go watch this film. I would not recommend it.
No.
I would also not recommend someone who has triggers of, anxiety and depression, like strong triggers, I would not recommend you go see this film. I would, you just got to give it a miss. I'm sorry, like if you're a fan of the Joker, if you're a fan of comic books or whatever, I would strongly suggest you do not watch this film.
Okay.
Not as someone who has like being a comic book fan. I mean, people who suffer from depression who are comic book fans.
We would actually rather you just, we'd rather you just go and get help.
Yeah. There's so many helplines available.
There's Beyond Blue in Australia, and there's a few others. We might have them in the tagline. Not certain exactly if we will.
I'm sure. We can put
this
them up.
Thursday is actually International Mental Health.
Yes.
This is. I'm talking about October 10th, just in case.
Yeah, October 10th. Yeah, which is our anniversary, my and Emily's anniversary, by the way. Which is appropriate because I have some mental health issues, and she
has to deal with them.
She has to deal with them. But yeah, it's this film is also. It's also its public image is also tainted, not just by all those things that we just mentioned, but it's also tainted by Todd Phillips's. He had a little rant earlier this week.
Yes.
About how he blames woke culture for him not being able to continue on a career in making comedy films. Mm-hmm. And I read that and I was like, oh, dude, come on.
Have you seen the second and third Hangover?
Yeah, exactly. Like there is some things that maybe you're just not good at. But I think we have all just witnessed something that he is good at, because there are moments in the Joker that are genuinely funny.
Oh, I think
it's in some of the most disturbing scenes. There are moments of like, what? This is actually kind of funny. Like it's insane. It's really well done.
Exactly, it's a trigger. There's a trigger in this movie. I think I'm going to say it's when he's becoming literally washing his hair with green.
Yeah.
After that,
he's putting green hair dye in.
There's some terrible scenes. But at the same time, there are some hilarious scenes.
It's balanced with comedy. It's balanced with humor.
The film invites us to laugh with the Joker.
Yes. And maybe that is also something that a lot of critics found reprehensible, I'm going to say, because it does invite us to laugh with the Joker through the madness.
Yeah.
Which is something that a lot of people, if you see a lot of issues before you go into this film, you're definitely not going to like it. And I was really uncomfortable during those moments.
I was like, wow, they did that. And I'm still laughing.
Yeah.
But the thing is...
And there are moments like there's a scene in my head where I'm just like, what? Wow, that's actually kind of funny. In the worst way possible. This is not something that is like... and this is another thing as well. Let's talk about audiences. What kind of audience did you see it with?
I saw it with pretty much packed cinema. There's like 3 rows in front of us that were empty, which is fine because they can see the later session in a better seat.
Yeah.
But it was on my aisle. There were girls to the left, and I think they must have been year 11 or 12.
Girls to the left of him.
Jokers I said the left, and I'm pointing at the right because they're on the right. Anyway, and on the left-hand side, there was a couple, and on the other side, there's some older people. They reacted fantastically to this movie. Yeah. They reacted exactly how they were supposed to. Okay. They were horrified when they were supposed to be horrified.
Yep.
They were laughing, and then they were like, "Why did I laugh?"
Mm-hmm.
And they were disgusted and disturbed, but they were entertained throughout.
Okay, excellent.
When I came out, there was another group behind me who were obviously comic book fans, and they were like, "Wow, what did we just see?" And I was like, "Good."
Yeah, be shocked. This isn't your daddy's comic book movie.
But I will also say, maybe I got incredible catharsis out of the ending of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Not the follow through scene, the actual interview scene. I thought it made me happy that it was on screen because it put it front and center that everyone was responsible.
It was honest. It was the point of honesty for this film. Like for the whole point leading up, like the whole time leading up to that moment, we are left to kind of guess at a lot of things happening, and this moment very much clears everything up. Very much so. And if you've been paying attention from the very beginning, the questions that you have that you wanted answers to will either be satisfactorily answered or they will turn out to be not important questions to begin with.
The truth in this movie of delusions and questions about who's who and stuff, it doesn't actually matter.
No.
What matters is that a man can go insane and then he can start killing people if society isn't kind to him.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's all about circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
My experiences, I got 2 experiences.
Yeah, you too.
Were very different to yours.
Mm-hmm.
The first experience that I had, there were a couple of comic book nerds there, and I saw this at about 8:50, I think, at night. And there were a few there that were like watching, and there were young kids as well. Not young kids, but you know what I mean. Like I'm getting old, so
12s.
Everyone's young.
Which means they're 18.
Yeah, like 16, 17, 18. And
just to listeners who are that age, we love you. But
15.
You know.
I'm sure there were a handful of people that walked out. Walked out of the cinema. Hashtag Australia has no culture.
No, but at the same time, it's like this is a movie where that's sort of understandable, especially up to the first half of this movie as well.
And then the second time I saw it with my friends from work, there was okay.
Go on a rant, go.
Yeah, all right. Give me that soapbox. I'm gonna stand up here.
Your pedestals.
There was a family behind us who had kids with them, and by kids I mean like 7, 8-year-olds.
Wow. Okay.
And the kids was just like, from the very moment the film started, like, what's going on? Who's that? Why are they doing this? What are they doing? And the whole time the mother wouldn't even answer him, just like, shh, 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 shut up, all the way through, which is just as annoying as a kid speaking, let me tell you. And on top of that, they had like a 16, I'm gonna guess 17-year-old boy with them, obviously their son, who was saying, I'm so confused right now. I don't understand what's going on. Oh, why is he doing that? Like, oh, this doesn't make any sense. He's fucking insane. Of course it doesn't make sense. If it's not making sense, ask yourself, why isn't it making any sense? Don't fucking sit there and go, oh, I don't understand what's going on. Of course you fucking don't, you fucking idiot. Like, what the fuck are you doing sitting in the cinema watching a film that is marketed as an MA-15 drama, is not a DC comic film, is not a comic film at all?
No, it's not.
Why aren't you doing research? Like, it's any sort of sane human being would look at the trailer alone and be like, that looks really dark. That doesn't look like that doesn't look like Batman v Superman to me. If I'm into that, I'm probably not going to go see it.
If you're into Batman versus Superman, you're probably a vegetable.
You've been lobotomized.
Yeah.
You're being wheeled around a hospital right now. But this is the stupid thing. They walked out before he kills his 5th victim.
Okay.
Yeah. So that scene in his apartment.
Yeah.
They walked out just before that happened, and before they did, the dad has asked. It's very clear where these kids got their sense of where they're at from, because he goes, "Oh man, this is really depressing." No shit, Sherlock. Where the fuck are you? Like, wake the fuck up. What are you doing in a cinema? Like, what kind of a parent do you have to be to, first of all, take your kid, second of all, get past the people that work at the cinema who are selling tickets, and thirdly, sit down in a cinema to watch a film which has been advertised as that kind of film? And I understand, like, parents, like, it's not necessarily lazy. It could just be tired. It could just be, like, worn out. But seriously, if you even just Google the name Joker for this movie, basic information will pop up that tells you that it's not your general DC film.
This is more of an adult movie than It Chapter 2 is.
Oh, yeah. No, It Chapter 2 was a piece of shit that was oddly marketed at children.
Yeah, it's a childish movie. This is not a childish movie.
It was more childish than It Chapter 1.
Yeah.
Which is stupid. I don't understand that. But no, it's an adult film. It's not for, like, I had like a massive just brain explosion. So did like the people next to me that were from work, that were just like looking back, just like, what the fuck? What's wrong with these people?
It's an entertaining experience though.
Oh yeah, it's entertaining. But as soon as they walked out, I was just like, I turned to my man, I was like, oh, finally, because they were just nonstop. And I mean, I talked about this on a previous episode of the podcast when we went to see Good Boys, how the people behind us just would not shut up about like just random shit that had nothing to do with the film. If you're gonna do that, just, I don't know, take a phone with you and write down the notes that you want to talk about after the film, and then talk about them. There is nothing worse for me, whether I'm sitting on the couch at home or whether I'm sitting in the cinema, is hearing somebody asking really, really dumb questions because they weren't paying attention. If your attention span is not strong enough to hold more than 5 seconds, you probably shouldn't be watching anything. You probably should be at home watching crazy cat videos on YouTube or sucking on your thumb. I don't know, but you shouldn't be in a cinema. You should not be wasting your money because it is a waste of money. If you can't hold that attention for that long, I'm sorry, but what are you doing?
Well, how much cross what's it called? Anyway,
promotion.
Cross programming was there? How many kids movies are out at the moment?
Well, there's Abominable.
There's Dora.
There's Ugly Dolls.
Yeah,
there's plenty. There's plenty. There's more than 3 at least. Well, there's more than 2 at least. Yeah. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? You belong in that cinema with the kids. Maybe drooling down your face. Maybe laughing at fart jokes. Maybe pooping yourself. Because that's where you belong. I'm sorry if you like this podcast, but if you are like that, you should probably take a break and just watch something that you can pay attention to, because this film is not that film for you.
I think that's a good point. I think this film isn't for everyone.
No, it definitely isn't. This is the most niche DC film, and I'm including Christopher Nolan's films too. Like, Christopher Nolan was very clever and dashed a lot of his movies with some very classic action homages and methods of cinematography that are inherently in a lot of action films, which is great. But this film is a lot more, and if you couldn't handle The Dark Knight,
no,
you're not going to be able to handle this.
I was trying to think of movies this reminded me of, and I mean, there are elements of Taxi Driver and what's the other Scorsese one it's doing? Is it comedy something?
I can't remember.
King of Comedy?
King of Comedy, that's it. Yeah.
The film it actually reminds me of is Seven.
Interesting. Continue.
Only in terms of its analysis of a character. And I'm talking about Kevin Spacey's character in Seven.
Of course.
Yeah. And although that's done from the hero's perspective, I think it's talking dark and dirty, and it's talking about where someone's coming from. This, I mean, in some ways, this is kind of like a biopic in the sense of it's a character deconstruction. Although it's a carefully chosen character deconstruction that's not doing it's doing a beginning of a character and a carefully managed story about the beginning of a character. It's not a comic book movie. It's not an action movie.
No.
It's not really a thriller, although it can have moments.
It's a psychological thriller if we're going to go down that path.
Yeah, but it's mostly a drama.
Yeah.
It's mostly a drama.
Yeah.
And
yeah, no, it is. It actually reminded me of there's moments there that reminded me of a Beautiful Mind. Actually, funnily enough,
that's a good one.
And there are a lot of moments again that remind me of Sidney Lumet's The Network.
Network. Oh.
Where we have this news reporter just lose his shit on live TV. And there were a lot of moments when we look at the psychological aspect of some of those characters from Network that I see playing out in this film within the character of the Joker. Also, I haven't mentioned Joaquin Phoenix's performance yet.
No, we haven't.
Which is just horrible. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. And even though he lost a lot of weight for this role, and he isn't
put it back on there.
He isn't anorexic.
No.
But he accentuates it through physical acting.
He's skin and bones, but he pulls himself up.
Yes, and he pulls himself out as well.
His shoulders, he's out.
Stretches everything.
It's weird. He's he stretches out, but his shoulders are pulled in at the same time.
Yeah. Physically, I think this is up there with one of his best performances ever. I think another performance that springs to mind that was equally as good and equally as deep, although I think a little bit more so, was The Master.
Yep, The Master of PTA's movie.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
I mean, he's great in Walk the Line as well.
Yeah, he's great in Walk the Line. But in terms of going to some really dark places with character and also the physical acting.
But also self-expression. He gets to do it his way.
Yeah. But also, there's moments of classic Joker in this.
Yeah.
from the comics, but also like the animated series. We see Joaquin Phoenix dancing a lot in this film, which is something that's straight from the pages of the old comic books.
It is.
And also from the television screen.
Yeah, Batman, the animated series.
Yeah, the animated series, it has a lot of influences from that, weirdly enough, that work in real life.
Yep. There are two classic comic book stories, Batman comic book stories. The Killing Joke, it briefly mentions it, and The Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, is that the whole, I used to think my life was a tragedy, but now I realize it's a comedy line?
I think that's it's actually, it all starts with one bad day.
Yeah.
In this movie, he says, all I've ever had is bad days.
Yeah.
The Killing Joke, actually, the Joker says 3 different origin stories for himself.
Yes. Yeah. Everyone who's a comic book fan knows that, or everyone who is a comic book fan should know that. In spite of some comic book fans hating this movie because they haven't seen it yet because it introduces a new origin. That's another thing I really like about this is even though it introduces an origin story, we still actually don't know for sure what his origin really is.
No.
It doesn't explain it. It doesn't go into detail.
Because it's got
because it's not important. And unreliable narrative.
It's fantastic.
It's great. It's a great choice.
I mean, some people might say that's cowardly. They're just pulling but they do it in such a great way for their own movie. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. And I don't think unreliable narrative is or narrator, is lazy per se.
No.
I feel like it, just like every film choice, needs to be done for the right intention. And needs to be done well. And this is done quite well. There are still moments that I'm kind of like that reveal where
that plot arc could have been stronger.
Also, the dialogue in that scene when it becomes apparent is very. It doesn't feel like it's the same flavor as the rest of the film.
No,
which is a bit unfortunate because throughout the film there are moments of lucidity and also delusion.
Yeah,
and they're very clear on that.
Yeah.
And that scene, I don't feel was actually like strong enough to really kind of be an important emotional beat for the character. I feel like if they had left it for a little bit longer, just a tiny little bit longer.
I got through it because the brilliant score came in again.
Yes, yeah. Also, the score for this is fantastic. I'm gonna look up who the score is, who did the score, but that cello when it comes in is just heartbreaking.
The first scene, I knew everything I needed to know about what the movie was going to do for the first half of the movie. There was a few things that came out like, wow, they did that. But at the same time, I was like, okay, I basically know what direction they're going from that first scene. And part of that was because of that.
Oh, God, I'm not going to be able to say this name.
The beautiful score.
The person who did the score for this, I can't say the name. What the hell?
Okay, I'll
good luck. You might have more luck.
Hildur Gudnadóttir.
Well done. Well done. Hildur. Well, yeah, but I want to say the last name, but I can't. Gudnadóttir. I'm sorry. She's from Reykjavik, Iceland. And she's what other films has she done? Let's take a look.
The cinematography is also.
Oh, okay. She's worked with Garth Davis on Mary Magdalene, which also had Joaquin Phoenix in it. I'm pretty sure, as Joseph. And she did Sicario, Day of the Soldado. And she's done Chernobyl, the miniseries. She scored that as well.
But the score in Sicario, actually, I can see
similarities.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
The cinematography.
Oh yeah, the cinematography. I have issues with the cinematography here and there. I feel like there's some outstanding stuff that's being done. And then there's some other stuff that I was kind of like, I don't know, like in my mind, there's a difference between being simple and being basic.
Yeah.
And I feel like in those moments where they could have chosen to become more simple, they actually went basic instead.
Okay.
And that kind of frustrated me a little bit. Like in some of the slower scenes, there were moments where we could linger a bit longer on something, or we could have focused on something else that would have actually lifted the scene more. But we didn't because we were focusing on very bare bones basic camera movement, which is fine. But I didn't feel like some of those basic movements came from an artistic place. It kind of felt like it was just run of the mill. Okay, we set up for this. We've got to just do that, which kind of got under my skin a little bit.
Especially because there was, as you say, there were times when a few things they were doing on screen were fantastic. So.
Yeah. And there's a specific shot in that reveal that I was mentioning earlier that was great, but it was also intercut with other shots that were not great.
No.
And felt kind of like obligatory camera angles that they needed to put in or something like that, which was a bit odd, and it threw me a bit, especially in the first viewing of this movie. Like that's what I kind of picked up on a lot because I'm a very, very visual person. So when something feels odd or doesn't flow, I ask myself, why doesn't it flow? Are they doing it for a reason, or did they just not have the time or whatever? Okay. And it didn't feel like they had the time to be able to fully kind of realize what that scene was doing.
They just hadn't come up with a better way to do it.
Yeah.
Which is also very possible.
But in spite of those, this is a great film. This is a fantastic film. And I think the bad rap it gets is undeserved.
Just to go through the cast again, Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, sorry
We'll go through the cast right now at the end.
Yeah.
So the cast is Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker.
Arthur Fleck. We have Robert De Niro as Murray Franklin, who is the Tonight Show TV host person. Yep. And it says, it pays homage to his character from the Kings of Comedy, or the King of Comedy. Zazie Beetz is in this as Sophie Dumont, who's Arthur's next door neighbor down the hall. Yep. Frances Conroy as Penny Fleck, his mother. Also fantastic performance.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, very biting in the right times.
Brett Cullen as Thomas Wayne.
Very biting at the right times.
Yeah. And that's pretty much the main cast.
Yeah. I mean, there are a collage of characters in the background. We have to give a shout out to the dwarf.
Oh yeah. I gotta find,
because he was fantastic, and he was sort of had to be because his role is so small.
Oh, Scotty!
I didn't even mean to do that. Sorry, I apologize.
Scotty,
I apologize. That
that's
one was
horrible.
unintentional. But his role was very important for what it was. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
In terms of he was in a painting. He's only one fleck of color on a thing, but it's really important for the rest of it.
Yeah. Also, there's a lot of cameos in this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if everyone knows all the cameos in this, but there's several comedians that make their cameos. And the biggest one, I think, is Brian Callen. If you don't know who he is, he's got his own podcast called The Fighter and the Kid. Fantastic podcast, very funny. And he plays one of the clowns that works alongside Arthur at the clown for hire place that he works in.
It's a very depressing job.
Yeah. Smile while you're getting paid nothing to do this. Justin Theroux is also cameos as a celebrity guest on the comedy show, the night show, the late night show. And he's also someone that Arthur tries to emulate. Like he watches the tape back and forward and he emulates how he enters.
That's another one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. And this is a solidly cast film, like really well cast. And the fact that they did it on a budget of $55 million is, well done.
Yeah,
honestly. And I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons why Warner Brothers actually gave this idea the time of day to begin with, was the fact that they were going to have a budget for that amount. Because the rumor is that Todd Phillips actually spent a whole 12 months trying to convince Warner Brothers to let him do this.
Well, I can understand it. And
can you imagine how shit of a film it would have been if Warner Brothers just did what they wanted?
No, that's what I'm about to say. It's this is just Warner Brothers have been trying so hard to make a DCU, and now all of a sudden this film comes out, a DC movie that's really actually it's got substance. Whether it's good or not, this film has substance.
Yes,
unlike everything else they've done.
Yeah, exactly. Say what you will about Wonder Woman, but even Wonder Woman did not have that much.
It had more substance than most of them, but it still didn't have that much.
Yeah. It felt like a good Transformers movie, if you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
But this film I think it is the best DC film since The Dark Knight, since Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight. I think
I don't think there's been any DC movie since then, has there?
Nah, not really. All of them are cancelled. Just cancelled. It's fantastic. It's very thought-provoking. If you suffer from any sort of mental illness and you want to see this film, please look after yourself first. Don't throw yourself into taking in something that could potentially be a trigger for you. Be safe. Look after yourself.
Enjoy the conversation.
Have conversation. Exactly. Don't shy away from conversation. I think we're in a day and age where conversation is, from both sides of the argument, has been pushed to the side a bit.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to have, it's sad, but we're going to have people on the extremist right using this film as an example of why lefties are crazy and how you guys can't, look at a film objectively. Look at you idiots. Like, honestly, if you are of that opinion, check yourself, because that's not what this film is about. And if you don't like this film because it makes you feel uncomfortable, also check yourself, because this could actually be a great moment of growth for a lot of people.
If this film makes you uncomfortable, ask yourself, why does this film make me uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Is it supposed to make me uncomfortable? The answer is yes.
Yeah. Ask questions and try to look for answers. And if you don't feel like you can find answers by yourself, ask somebody else. Get a dialogue going. Talk about it.
Conversation.
Because this is, I feel like this is something that is powerful for film. And there's an opportunity here for a lot of film makers to open up conversations like this between people and to ask some really tough questions. And while I don't believe that it is a film's inherent value to be responsible for a society that makes decisions, I think it is a lot of films do become telltale signs of what society is going through or has gone through.
This is very much a film about the times. What I find interesting is the Rotten Tomatoes scores for this movie.
Yeah. What? Tell me about them.
So the critic is 69%.
Yeah.
The critics literally have opinions all over the board.
Yeah, they are. They're very polarizing.
But the audience score is 96%.
Well, that's good. I mean, it could be bad, but also it's good.
I think that's a breath of fresh air. I think the people who have watched this movie and gone out of their time to write a review of it they've thought about it. This movie has provoked them, and they've seen that as a good thing.
Yeah.
I think that's a positive to take away.
Yeah. So keep talking about it, guys. Yeah. Honestly, keep talking about it. What would you rate?
I can't. I literally can't rate this movie.
Okay.
And it's because it's in the bubble. I can't look out from outside the bubble. The issues have become entrenched within it.
Mm-hmm.
There are, and the catharsis I got from it as well, because of the issues it was bringing up and the story it was telling was so true. It might be a masterpiece, and it might be just a 7 or 8 out of 10.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I love how your rating is 7, which is still a good rating.
Yeah, no, the lowest...
is that's all right.
Yeah.
And then everything else, masterpiece or utter trash.
This isn't fucking Godzilla, okay?
I hope you're not fucking Godzilla. That's a weird fetish for anyone to have, Scotty. This
we Scots use fucking as everything. You know that very well.
Where do you think we are? We're in Australia, man. We use a lot more than just fuck to say hello to people. I think I'm in the same boat. I think this film is, given the critical consensus, I think it will become a cult classic.
Yeah.
Eventually. And I also do think in 10, 15 years from now, the critics will come around and they will look at this film with a little bit more objective eyes.
Whether they give it higher or lower ratings, I think this film will keep people coming back to it.
Yeah.
I think it's already proved to be an important movie.
Yeah.
For society.
Yeah, it's very relevant. The fact that it has so many polarizing reviews is testament to the fact that people are talking about it.
The film has succeeded.
Yeah, it's succeeded more than any Fast and Furious film ever has, in my opinion.
Than any DC movie has since The Dark Knight Rises or The Dark Knight. So we can only give it a standing ovation.
I mean, embrace the controversy.
Yeah,
and embrace the conversation that comes from it. I mean, that's all I got to say.
Yeah, I think we've said that several times now. So we'll probably
just in different words.
We'll send it back to us in the future.
Yeah, or the past. Ooh. That's weird. All right. See you guys soon.
back.
We are back. Throwing it back to the studio from the studio before.
Back in the studio. We sit in the humidity. We breathe.
It's not too bad compared to yesterday. Yesterday was horrible.
I mean, I was sick in bed all day, so.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I've got trivia.
You have trivia?
Yeah.
Let's hit that trivia.
Someone who would be great at playing the Joker.
Oh, really?
This person.
Another person?
Is an American.
Should we have another person play? That's a can of worms, Scotty. I can't even objectively look at this trivia question now because you've blindsided me with another person who should be the Joker.
Anyone could be the Joker.
That's true.
I'd love to see Danny DeVito the Joker. Anyway.
You know what hasn't been done? And one thing I'd love to see Danny DeVito as,
Mario.
I'd love to see him as the Penguin. I would love to see him as nobody's ever thought. It's insane. Like, how many people out there? Shut up. How many people out there have thought of the Penguin and gone, wow, Danny DeVito should be in that role? I don't think anyone's done that before.
On a completely unrelated note, did you know they were actually considering last year making another movie in the original Tim Burton Batman story?
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Making it kooky. And
is he gonna finally have the Penguin in it this time? Because I know he didn't have it last time. So disappointed.
Okay.
It's terrible casting.
Back to trivia. This person is an American actor and producer. Is a recipient of numerous accolades, including Academy Awards and 3 Golden Globes.
Dear God.
In 2007, was one of the highest paid actresses. It was named Hasty Pudding's Woman of the Year in 2009.
Hasty Puddings. So she's British. Clearly, she's British.
That's all I'm saying.
She's British.
I said she's an American at the start.
Oh yeah, that's right. Maybe she's Maybe she's British American because you have to put British before American, don't you? When you say, because it's always British Australian or British.
Okay, I'll tell you one more thing. This person was
African
born
American.
in Katy, Texas. This person was born in Katy, Texas.
Katy, Texas. Wow. Okay.
Okay, that's all I'm telling you.
Wow. Okay. So, winner of Lady Pudding of the Year or whatever the fuck it was.
Okay, it's Hasty Pudding's Woman of the Year.
Can you imagine being a woman for Hasty Pudding? Like, you don't want to hastily make pudding.
It's like
I'll be honest.
Playboy calls you Woman of the Year. It's like,
No. It's not like that. It's not like that.
No, but you know what I mean. It's like imagine. I'm trying to think of
Cotties. Cotties cheese makes you Woman of the Year.
Yeah.
Like that's what it is. Is Cotties a cheese? Cotties? No, it's like a baking thing, isn't it?
No, Cotties is the cordial fruit drink.
Oh, that's right. So nothing to do with cheese whatsoever. I don't know why I think cheese.
Cottage cheese?
Yeah, probably.
There's
that.
cooties.
What?
Cootie. That is actually
cooties.
Cooties. There's a cheese called cootie.
There's also where did that? What's that other one? The racist cheese from Australia. Coon. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a bad marketing choice that was. I mean, they can't be blamed because it was made in the town of Coon, which is a terrible name for a town. I mean, okay, so we can blame the British for that. Let's just blame the British for that one.
But what if it's actually an Aboriginal word and you just?
Yeah, that's true. It could be. I don't know.
Okay.
I stay away from white Australian culture in general, just because I don't like it. Also, I am ashamed. White guilt is real, people. And it is eating me up inside.
I have no white guilt because I'm shameless.
You are also Scottish, so you got no guilt to begin with.
Maybe shameless.
You weren't born with any of it.
Actually, that might be a Scottish trait, is being shameless.
Hey, at least you're not Irish. I mean, there's a lot of guilt about how they handled potatoes back in the day. So there's a... How do you fuck potatoes up? How do you not know how to look after potatoes? Okay, yeah, I understand there's like a disease that infected all the potatoes, but also, how do you like... Well, that is actually like a point of contention because you got like potatoes that you want to keep away from other potatoes, and how do you know which ones are sick? Like, what is it? Do they turn green when they're sick? I'm sorry. I'm gonna let you finish. You keep going.
Yeah. I love you, Irish people, and please forgive
me.
Hey,
guess what? I found out that recently I'm Irish as well. I'm like 40% Irish.
Well, no one hates the Irish more than the Irish do. So.
That's true. We are a very contentious bunch.
I think we're done. I love you. Goodbye. We are Jordan and Scotty.
What the fuck was that? You just cut me off. You're like, no more. We can't handle more of Jordan. This is horrible. Let's just cut. All right, fine. Goodbye, everybody. Have a fantastic week. Except for you Irish people out there. No, I'm kidding. You guys are already drunk by now. All right. Good night.